Yeah, this was it. Thank you very much. First of all, thank you all for coming here. My name is Mitja, as you heard before. I am representing Crosspatch, a brand new company, and this is Triggerpad, the first module that Crosspatch proposes. And it's a step sequencer for dynamic triggers. It is not a MIDI to trigger or CV converter. It actually has the whole sequencing features in the module, and it's using Launchpad, so 8x8 grid controllers to display and edit the patterns. What you saw now was a complete set on these two Launchpads, but I would like to just clarify at the very beginning a fun thing that is actually to hot swap Launchpads while it's playing. So if I may, I will bring back the beat. And this is the Launchpad connected to this trigger pad here. And the trigger outputs are triggering the drum voices. And I will just, so to make it clear, we'll just remove the Launchpad from it and connect it to an Akai APC Mini, which is a quite old controller, and this is all compatible with the trigger pad. And as soon as I plug it in, it will use it to display the same pattern, and I can continue playing with it here, or simply stop it. So I hope just that this is clear from the very beginning. The features that we can edit on the trigger pad are features that we all know from step sequencers. So maybe what is nice about this at first is the size of it, which you can see it's 6 HP. And the whole control is outside of the rack, so away from patch cables, and gives you a lot of freedom to play with, and especially gives you a lot of free space in the rack that you can fill with your other favorite modules. It's the idea so came from experience, as is most of the cases. Being a lot on the, how to say, on the road. I come from Slovenia, so I travel a lot to Slovenia and back, and have performances there. And of course, for me, it was essential to have a portable system and still being able to play with it, to have fun with it. And this was the solution I made for myself. I hope more people like me will find it interesting and helpful, especially for artists on the road. So talking about a bit of the features, the triggers that you can sequence are dynamic. So you can see, is it visible on the screen? Okay, so it's very easy to select the channel. It's the top row sets the channel of the trigger pad, and then you can, I will just select all of them by holding one and erase everything, so we can start from scratch. Let's start with the kick drum. It's very easy to dial in a kick drum. Same with the snare. If I unmute it. Now we want to bring in some dynamics, and the dynamics are on the sidebar. Of course, what you saw me doing also during the performance was recording in session mode. So this is also a possibility. Now, the fun thing, I think, is when you use a different pattern lengths on the channels. So you actually create the complexity you want. It currently has no randomness or Euclidean patterns. It's very hands-on, and you decide the level of complexity you want to hear. Along with the triggers, it's very useful to have gate length. So use the triggers with different lengths. And this is this page where you saw me muting just a moment ago. And this also sets the length of the pulse of the trigger. So you have from 250 microseconds up to 10 milliseconds trigger length. And the top row is reserved for quantized steps, so quantized triggers, so it will hold the value until the next step. This I was actually using more on the other side. On this side, there are the first 4 channels were connected to the inputs of the Polygogo, modulating the operator, the frequency modulation, then other parameters. I will not go too much into the details. And one thing was also on this side was pinging filters. This is this channel, and I can also just start this one channel. Now, when you dial in the steps, you can, as I showed before, set the velocity, but there are also 8 microsteps, so you can really go in audio rate territory and create kind of melodic patterns if you want. The other part, so let me stop this, and the other part was the steppy modulation that was going on this side, and this was, so I was first of all opening maybe I just leave it open. So if we just listen to the Polygogo, let's select these 4 channels. These are now the 4 channels modulating the parameters. Note that on this channel the step length is 1, which allows me to, and let's make this same on the 3rd channel. And why not on the 1st and the 2nd, right? So now it's static. If I go into session mode, I can use it as a kind of a fader. Okay, I think you got the point. So yeah, this is basically the essentials that I wanted to show to you today. Of course, I am sure I forgot something, and I hope you have questions that will remind me what this is. Any questions? Yes. Thank you for this excellent question. Of course,
I will repeat it through the microphone, so it's also in the video. How do you set the tempo, and can you sync it to external gear? And how does the clock architecture work?
So, thank you for the question, again, for the mic. Yes, the BPM can be set simply by pressing on the metronome button. And here, again, I hope it's visible enough on the screen. You can see the tempo. It's 114.05, which means that you have 2 decimals of precision. It's simple. You just press on the number you want to lower or make it faster by pressing on the upper side. There is a clock input, clock output, reset input, and reset output. And these can be set with as internal or external clock, and they have also a clock divider and a clock multiplier. So it can adjust to different setups, which means that you can send in 16th notes, triplets, whatever. If you want it to be in, I don't know, 4/4, you can adjust the clock divider and the clock multiplier in a way that it fits your needs. Of course, this allows you also to set to odd numbers, so in this case you would have quintuplets, especially if, in this case I mean when there is a 5 here, and when you set the pattern length to 5, you will get a loop of quintuplets that will repeat in time with your, I don't know, 16th step bar on a different sequencer or on some other gear you're syncing it with. Speaking of features that I forgot, there's also a shuffle that allows you to, of course, shuffle notes. I will just, again, quickly demonstrate how, so clock internal. We will not shuffle on drum and bass. Let's bring it a bit down. So this is the shuffle page, and it's a global shuffle in this way. But if I press one channel and then press shuffle, then it will only edit the shuffle on this channel. So it's a shuffle per channel. Maybe, yeah. Of course, it sounds a bit weird because it's only one channel, but if we edit it on all channels at the same time, then maybe it starts to make sense for some. What is interesting on this page is that you have also a shuffle pattern, which is you decide on which steps the trigger will be delayed to create the shuffle. And again, if you want to hear sounds very weird. But you know, when you go very slow, and by very slow I don't mean so slow, but I think that because of changing the pattern length, the phases of the channels went out of phase. So we can resync everything. Of course, one way is to stop it and play it, but also while it's playing, we can say, okay, let's resync everything to the first channel. And we just simply hold the first channel and press clock. And this resyncs the phases of all the sequences. Yeah, I don't know what else I'm missing here. The erase is very straightforward. You press erase and you select an area you want to erase. Yeah, there's you can save these patterns and then chain them, so one after the other, and up to 64 patterns, or you can switch between them instantly, which will actually maintain the phase of the step where you switch the pattern will stay there. So if you switch in the middle of a pattern, let's say on step 5, on the new pattern it will continue from step 5. Also, when you have all these slots full, what you can do is transfer the whole memory to a USB stick and share this with friends if this is what you do. I think I covered everything, and I hope it's exhaustive. But of course, if you have more questions, I'm happy to answer. Or maybe we're done. More questions?
As nobody else is asking, which internal chipset platform did you use to realize all this?
It's an ARM architecture. It's specifically an STM-H7. Okay.
Okay, if there are no further questions, I say thank you to Mitja.
Thank you.
For explaining us the Crosspatch Triggerpad. Very exciting.
Thank you very much. Feel free to take some reminders here. I will leave them here on the site. Otherwise, we are on booth W210. It's in the sports hall. If you want to come and play with it, I'll be happy to introduce you personally to the Triggerpad. Have fun. Have a nice SUPERBOOTH. Thank you very much.